My beloved child, hold on for just one quiet moment, because the next few minutes may explain something your heart has been trying to understand long before your mind ever found the words. There are moments in life that arrive without noise. No announcement. No warning. No dramatic sign. Just one unexpected shift. A familiar voice sounds different. A message comes later than usual. A smile disappears. Someone who once reached toward you begins stepping away for reasons they never explain. At first, it feels small. Easy to dismiss. Easy to excuse. But what if that single change is not random at all? What if it is the beginning of a truth that has been patiently waiting for you to notice? You have been searching for answers in conversations, in memories, and sometimes even in silence. Yet the answer has never been hiding inside the words people speak. It has always been hiding inside what suddenly changes without explanation. Human behavior is like the surface of a lake. Most people only see the reflection. Very few notice the ripples beneath it. And those ripples always begin before the visible wave reaches the shore. Think carefully. Has someone become unusually kind after a long season of distance? Has someone stopped asking about your dreams? Has someone who once celebrated your victories suddenly become quiet whenever your name is mentioned? These are not questions meant to create doubt. They are invitations to become aware. Awareness is one of the rarest forms of wisdom because it allows you to see reality before it announces itself. The greatest turning points rarely begin with life changing around you. They begin when your perception changes within you. For a long time, you believed that consistency was permanent. You expected familiar people to remain familiar forever. But life moves differently. Every person carries invisible seasons inside them. Some grow. Some drift. Some awaken. Others become trapped inside fears they never confess. And when those inner seasons change, their behavior changes first, long before their explanations ever do. This is why your intuition has been unusually active lately. You may have tried to silence it. You told yourself you were imagining things. You convinced yourself that nothing had really changed. Yet something inside refused to become quiet. There is a reason for that. Your awareness has been noticing details your conscious mind kept overlooking. Not because you are suspicious. Because you are finally becoming observant. There is an enormous difference. The future often whispers before it speaks loudly. Most people miss those whispers because they are distracted by routines. They wait until everything becomes obvious. But by then, opportunities have already passed. Relationships have already shifted. Truth has already completed its journey. You, however, are standing at a different kind of moment. Not the end of something. The beginning of understanding. Pause and imagine this. What if one unexpected change in someone's behavior is actually protecting you instead of hurting you? What if distance is revealing honesty? What if silence is uncovering what constant conversation kept hidden? Sometimes life removes the comfort of certainty so you can discover the clarity that certainty was hiding. That realization changes everything. You see, people reveal themselves most clearly when they stop trying to maintain the image they believe others expect. Over time, effort fades. Masks become heavy. Pretending becomes exhausting. Eventually, behavior begins telling the truth even while words continue telling stories. That is why small changes deserve quiet attention. Not panic. Not judgment. Attention. There is extraordinary strength in observing without rushing to conclusions. Because once emotion settles, patterns begin to appear. Patterns never lie. A single moment can be misunderstood. 2 moments may still be coincidence. But repeated patterns become a language all their own. And lately, life has been inviting you to read that language. Perhaps someone has become strangely unavailable only when your biggest moments arrive. Perhaps their excitement slowly transformed into polite responses. Perhaps they now speak with hesitation where confidence once existed. None of these moments alone define the truth. But together, they form a picture that has been patiently waiting for your eyes to recognize it. Before you move forward, ask yourself one honest question. Have you been listening more carefully to people's promises? Or to their patterns? The answer to that question may quietly reshape everything you believed was certain. Because the most important truth is not hiding in what someone says next. It is already beginning to appear in what they no longer do. And this is only the first layer of what is unfolding, because there is one hidden signal almost everyone overlooks, yet once you recognize it, the entire meaning behind these unexpected changes becomes impossible to ignore. My beloved child, before you decide that you already understand what is happening, stay with this next thought, because the smallest detail is often the one that changes the entire story. Most people spend their lives looking for dramatic evidence. They believe truth arrives like a thunderstorm, loud, impossible to ignore, undeniable. Yet the deepest truths almost never arrive that way. They enter quietly. They reveal themselves through repetition. Through timing. Through the spaces between actions. And if you have noticed an unexpected change in someone's behavior, there is one question far more powerful than asking, why did they change? Instead, ask yourself, when did they change? The timing is never accidental. Think back carefully. Was it after you started believing in yourself more? Was it after a new opportunity appeared in your life? Was it after you became less dependent on approval? Or perhaps after you stopped chasing people who were uncertain about your value? These moments matter. Because behavior often shifts when circumstances expose what words were able to hide. People react differently when life begins transforming someone standing in front of them. Some feel inspired. Some become distant. Some suddenly become supportive after years of indifference. Others quietly withdraw because your growth reminds them of the dreams they abandoned long ago. None of this makes them your enemy. It simply reveals where they currently stand within their own journey. And that realization removes something incredibly heavy from your shoulders. You stop taking every change personally. Instead, you begin observing it wisely. There is freedom in that. Real freedom. Imagine standing beside a river. The water never argues with the rocks. It simply continues moving. Eventually, the river reaches places the rocks could never travel. Your life works the same way. You do not need every person to understand your direction. You do not need every familiar face to remain beside you forever. Some people are part of your beginning. Others are part of your lesson. Very few are meant for your next chapter. That truth may feel uncomfortable at first. Yet discomfort often appears just before clarity. Here is something few people realize. Unexpected behavior is not always about losing someone. Sometimes it is about finally seeing someone exactly as they are. There is an important difference. You are not watching a personality change overnight. You are watching hidden priorities slowly become visible. People naturally invest their attention in what matters most to them. Attention reveals value. Consistency reveals intention. Time reveals character. These things cannot be permanently disguised. Sooner or later, reality becomes stronger than appearance. Perhaps this explains why your intuition refused to disappear. You sensed that something beneath the surface deserved another look. Not because you wished for conflict. Because your inner awareness recognized a pattern before your conscious thoughts accepted it. That quiet inner voice deserves more respect than you have given it. It has protected you before. It has gently redirected you before. And once again, it is inviting you to observe without rushing. There is no prize for reacting first. There is great wisdom in understanding first. Sometimes silence teaches more than confrontation. Sometimes patience uncovers what questions never could. When people believe no one is carefully observing, they naturally reveal their authentic rhythm. That rhythm tells an extraordinary story. You begin noticing who remembers the little things without being reminded. Who celebrates your progress without comparison. Who becomes genuinely curious about your future. Who only appears when convenience allows. Who disappears when your light begins shining brighter. None of these observations require bitterness. Only honesty. Because awareness without resentment becomes one of the greatest forms of personal strength. And here is something worth carrying with you beyond this moment. The purpose of recognizing behavioral change is never to become suspicious of everyone around you. It is to become deeply aligned with truth. Truth creates peace. Illusions create exhaustion. For too long, you have been spending energy trying to explain what your instincts already understood. You searched for complicated answers while life kept offering simple evidence. Patterns. Timing. Consistency. Presence. Absence. These are the quiet languages that never learn how to lie. If this message has already caused you to reflect on someone, or perhaps even on yourself, consider leaving a comment with the single word, awake. It becomes a reminder that awareness always comes before transformation. And if you believe someone else may need this perspective today, sharing it or choosing to subscribe simply keeps these conversations finding the people who are ready for them. But don't leave just yet. Because everything we have uncovered so far is only preparing you for one final realization, a realization that explains why this unexpected change happened now, at this exact point in your life, and why ignoring it any longer could cause you to miss one of the most important turning points still waiting ahead. My beloved child, there is one final piece you have not seen yet, and once it comes into focus, you may never look at unexpected changes the same way again. Every meaningful shift carries two stories at once. One story belongs to the other person. The second story belongs to you. Most people become so focused on understanding someone else's behavior that they forget to ask the question that quietly changes everything: what is this situation trying to teach me about myself? That question has extraordinary power. Because life is not only revealing people to you. It is revealing you to yourself. Notice what happens inside your heart when someone's behavior suddenly changes. Do you immediately blame yourself? Do you chase explanations? Do you create imaginary conversations hoping everything returns to the way it once was? Or do you become still enough to observe without losing your peace? Your first reaction often says more about your inner world than about the person standing in front of you. And that realization is not meant to discourage you. It is meant to strengthen you. Imagine walking through a long hallway filled with mirrors. Every mirror reflects a different angle. Some reflections appear clear. Others distort the image. People can become like those mirrors. Some remind you of your confidence. Some expose your fears. Some awaken forgotten dreams. Others reveal wounds that have quietly remained hidden beneath the surface. When someone's behavior unexpectedly changes, they may unknowingly become the mirror showing you something you were finally ready to see. Perhaps you have been giving more energy than you receive. Perhaps you have been ignoring your own boundaries because you feared disappointing others. Or perhaps, you have already outgrown a chapter that your heart has been reluctant to leave behind. Growth often feels strange before it feels beautiful. The familiar begins to feel unfamiliar. The comfortable begins to feel too small. Conversations that once filled your heart suddenly leave you feeling empty. It is not because you have become cold. It is because your perspective has expanded. And when your perspective changes, your relationships naturally begin finding their true place. This is why awareness is never about judging people. It is about recognizing alignment. Some people naturally walk beside your future. Others naturally belong to your past. Neither role is meaningless. Every connection leaves behind a lesson. Every lesson leaves behind wisdom. And wisdom quietly prepares you for opportunities that emotional confusion would have caused you to overlook. Now consider something even deeper. What if this unexpected change appeared at exactly the right moment? Not 6 months ago. Not next year. Right now. Because right now, you possess something you did not have before. Experience. Discernment. Patience. The ability to notice patterns without immediately reacting. Those qualities have been developing inside you, often without you realizing it. This moment is not interrupting your journey. It is refining it. Sometimes life removes certainty so that truth has room to enter. Sometimes unanswered questions protect you from accepting incomplete answers. Sometimes people become different because they are following a path that no longer matches yours. And sometimes, they do not actually change at all. You simply begin seeing clearly for the very first time. That kind of clarity cannot be taken away. Once your eyes recognize authenticity, pretending becomes impossible to ignore. Once your heart values peace, chaos loses its attraction. Once your mind understands patterns, empty promises lose their influence. You become calmer, wiser, more intentional. Not because life suddenly became easier, but because you finally learned to trust what consistent actions have been showing you all along. So if someone has recently surprised you with an unexpected shift in their behavior, do not rush to write the ending of the story. Observe. Reflect. Give truth enough time to reveal itself completely. Because truth never fears time. Only illusion does. And perhaps the greatest revelation of all is this: the unexpected change you noticed in someone else may have arrived not to change your opinion of them, but to transform the direction of your own future. There is still one thought I hope you carry long after this video ends. The people who are truly meant to walk beside you will never require you to ignore your own awareness in order to keep them close. If this message resonated with you, subscribe and share it with someone who may be standing at a similar crossroads. And if you choose to leave a comment, write, "I choose clarity." It is a quiet promise to yourself that from this moment forward, you will trust consistent truth over comforting assumptions. Because sometimes the smallest change in someone else's behavior becomes the beginning of the greatest change within you. My beloved child, do not close this chapter in your mind yet, because there is one hidden connection that almost everyone overlooks, and once you recognize it, the entire meaning behind these unexpected changes begins to make perfect sense. There is a reason certain people begin acting differently at the exact moment your life starts moving in a new direction. It is not always because they have changed. Sometimes your own growth changes what you are finally able to see. Have you ever noticed how the sunrise does not create the mountains? It simply makes them visible. Truth works the same way. It does not suddenly appear. It was already there. Awareness is simply the light that allows you to recognize it. For so long, you may have believed that your greatest challenge was understanding other people. But what if your greatest challenge has actually been trusting your own perception? Think about every moment you ignored your instincts because you wanted peace. Every time you accepted an explanation that never truly settled your heart. Every time you convinced yourself that consistency would return if you only waited a little longer. You were hoping for certainty. Yet life was quietly offering something far more valuable. Discernment. Discernment is the ability to recognize truth without needing dramatic proof. It is calm. It is patient. It never rushes. And it never forces conclusions. It simply watches. Then one day, everything becomes clear. That day may be much closer than you realize. Because the pieces are already coming together. The conversations you once dismissed. The unusual silence. The delayed responses. The unexpected kindness. The strange distance. The sudden interest. The moments that once seemed unrelated are beginning to form one complete picture. Not to create fear. To create understanding. Here is something remarkable. Every meaningful relationship leaves behind a pattern. Healthy patterns create peace. Unhealthy patterns create confusion. The more closely you observe, the more obvious the difference becomes. Peace does not require constant guessing. Respect does not disappear without explanation. Genuine care does not depend on convenience. These truths are simple. Yet they become powerful once you begin living by them. And now, something inside you is changing. You are becoming less interested in temporary appearances and more interested in lasting character. That shift alone has the power to transform every future decision you make. Because once you value consistency over promises, actions over appearances, truth over assumptions, you stop chasing clarity. Clarity begins finding you. Many people spend years waiting for someone to explain themselves. But explanations are not always what reveal reality. Behavior does. Repeated behavior becomes a message louder than any conversation. That is why your attention matters now more than ever. Not attention filled with anxiety. Attention filled with wisdom. There is an enormous difference. You are no longer searching for hidden meanings in every word. You are quietly observing the direction people repeatedly choose. And those choices tell a story no performance can hide forever. If this message has encouraged you to see life with fresh eyes, consider sharing it with someone who may also be searching for clarity. And if these conversations have helped you reflect in a meaningful way, subscribing simply allows us to continue exploring these deeper truths together. Now remain with me until the very end. Because there is one final realization waiting ahead. A realization that does not focus on why someone else's behavior changed, but reveals why this moment could become one of the most important turning points in your own journey, in a way you never expected. My beloved child, this is the moment everything comes together, not because every question has been answered, but because you have finally learned which questions truly matter. You began this journey wondering why someone's behavior had unexpectedly changed. Now you stand somewhere entirely different. You are no longer searching for a single explanation. You are recognizing a greater truth. People will continue to change. Circumstances will continue to shift. Seasons of life will continue to surprise you. But the person who learns to observe with wisdom instead of reacting with fear will always discover what others overlook. That is your strength. Never underestimate the quiet power of awareness. It can save years of confusion. It can protect your peace before conflict ever arrives. It can guide your next step long before the destination becomes visible. There is something extraordinary about this very moment. Not because life is suddenly becoming perfect, but because you are becoming different. A calmer version of yourself. A wiser version. Someone who no longer needs constant reassurance to recognize what is already being revealed through consistent actions. Remember this whenever uncertainty appears again. Do not measure people only by what they promise during comfortable seasons. Watch how they respond when your life begins changing. Notice who encourages your growth without comparison. Notice who celebrates your victories without making them about themselves. Notice who remains steady when circumstances become unpredictable. Those are the people whose presence carries lasting value. And if someone chooses a different path, bless the lesson. Carry the wisdom. Keep moving forward without bitterness. Because every experience, whether joyful or challenging, leaves you with something priceless if you are willing to learn from it. One day, you will look back on this season and realize that what once felt confusing was actually preparing you for greater clarity. The unexpected behavior that occupied your thoughts will no longer be the center of the story. Your transformation will be. You will smile because you will understand that awareness was never meant to make you suspicious. It was meant to make you free. Free from overthinking. Free from chasing explanations that actions had already answered. Free from carrying relationships that no longer reflected the direction of your life. And when you are free, you begin making decisions from confidence instead of uncertainty. You protect your peace without guilt. You welcome genuine people without fear. You release what no longer aligns without anger. That is not loss. That is growth. So as this message comes to its close, carry one simple thought with you wherever life leads next. Never ignore a consistent change in behavior simply because you hope the past will return. Hope is beautiful. But wisdom knows when to appreciate memories while still embracing reality. Your future deserves the clearest version of you. A version that trusts patterns over empty promises. A version that listens to quiet intuition without allowing fear to take control. A version that understands that every ending creates space for a beginning that could never have existed before. If these words spoke to your heart today, subscribe so we can continue exploring journeys like this together, and share this message with someone who may need a little clarity in their own life. Before you leave, write, "I trust the truth." Let it be a reminder that from this day forward, you will choose awareness over assumption, wisdom over worry, and steady progress over endless doubt. Until our paths cross again, walk forward with confidence. Not because you know everything that lies ahead, but because you have learned to recognize the quiet signs that life has been placing before you all along. And sometimes, the truth you were never supposed to ignore becomes the very truth that gently leads you toward the future you were always meant to discover.